All right. So, hi, everyone. Welcome. I am Dr. Latoya Davis, and this is Soul Wisdom Chat. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Co Forte. Co is the owner of Big Better Me, and she has a few ventures that she works in. And I brought her on because Co has been one of the people that has worked with me in a bunch of different capacities. And I just wanted to have the opportunity to come and share her with you all. If you attended the Akashic Virtual Summit last year, you may remember she did the presentation on heart space and the Akashic Records. So we're just going to check in a little bit with her today and see what's up, how she's been doing, what's going on, and get to know a little bit better. So I was going to introduce her, but I am actually going to allow her to introduce herself. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are, where you are, what you do.
Thank you so much for having me, first of all. I am very grateful for you allowing me to be here and speak to everyone. My name is Co. I am in Atlanta, Georgia. I have been a student and apprentice of Dr. Latoya for a handful of years now. So it feels good to be on this side and continuing the journey alongside her. Um, I am an Akashic Records reader as well as ancestral lineage healer. Thank you to Dr. Latoya for providing those programs and opportunities to learn these modalities, and I'm still using them to this day. I'm the owner, like she said, of Big Better Me. And it is true, I am working in several different capacities on several different things, but what I can say now is that um, through all of those different modalities that I work, I offer sessions for people. I write about spirituality based ideas in blog and content form. And I also am providing herbal remedies in tinctures and tea blends for people. And all of those things, what I seek to do is to bring people into their more authentic self through letting go of old ideas of how they have to be, and growing into those big, better ideas of who they know that they are on the inside.
Cool. I heard a new one in there. I did not know about the tinctures and you preparing herbal remedies. I knew that you studied, that you did that, but I did not know that you were offering that as a service or an offering. So tell me a little bit more about that.
I will tell you more about that. What I can say, and I'm sure you're very aware, the entrepreneurial journey will take you in many different directions. And in certain seasons, you are, very productive in the area, and other seasons you have to step back. So herbalism, I would say, is kind of how I got brought into this idea of healing, energy, ritual. It encompasses all those things for me. And I just fell in love with connecting with plants, reconnecting to the earth, and learning about the energetics of the plants. And I have continued to do that definitely on a personal level. But what I found was that, when I would share things with people, literally just share, not charging anybody anything, they're like, wow, that really worked. And
Mhm.
so, I was like, okay, well, people like it. Let me keep going. And I was able to build out some offerings that seem to really support people. And I'm very happy about that. I'm still learning things, in terms of trying to scale what the product can be and how to deliver it to people. But yeah, it's still something that I am keeping up with.
Cool. I love to hear that. We talked about, I mentioned, and you also said we've kind of been on this journey together for a few years, right? I first
Mm.
met you, I don't know if I first met you because you came for a reading or if I first met you because you came for a class. Um, but it was around the Akashic Records. I know that was our first introduction. It was around the Akashic Records. And since that time, I've gotten to kind of watch you go from, someone who has wanted to receive information from for your own betterment to then saying, wait a minute, I really like this modality. I can use this for myself, to wait, I can use this to help other people, right? And then even seeing that and how that's kind of taken shape. So can you tell me a little bit about just, how you were introduced to the records, what that journey has been like for you from the start, and kind of where you are with it now?
Absolutely. So I did first encounter you by receiving a reading. And it was so specific to my life and so spot on. And I was just like, how did you do that? I want to know more. Because at that point in my journey, I was coming on like a year and a half of try everything. And I tried a lot of different things, modalities that, were, as a first timer, I was learning about and testing it out. I came from a background in Christianity where a lot of things that I was curiously exploring were very much taboo, or just don't do, don't touch, don't try, don't ask, So I was very excited and on my learning journey, third eye is open, everything is brand new and shiny. But when I got the Akashic Records reading from you, that was the first time I felt like clarity in a very grounded way and in a very specific way. And I felt so supported and held by that. And I knew that if I could learn how to do that, like that would be such a grounding experience for me, because I can say that, in terms of my approach or my preference or my personality, I'm more of a in the sky floating around type of person. So anything that really grounds me is very much a supportive tool for me.
Cool. That's funny that you say you're very much, kind of in the sky, floating around type of person. So one of the ways that Co and I now work together is Co does contract work for me, and I am very much float around in the sky, right? I am all things, which is crazy because people receive me as grounded. Um, but I am here. And why I like working with Co is because she is very, like, she's like, okay, I know you just gave me 1,000 ideas, but where we're going to focus is here, right? And so really being able to take all of my stuff and bring it together. So
Well,
it's
there's
funny.
definitely degrees, right? There's degrees of all over the place.
Yes, yes. So what would you say if you had to say, I'm going to say one, but you can give me two. If you had to say like one to two things that has really shifted for you due to your work in the Akashic Records, what would that be?
So what really shifted for me in in using the Akashic Records is this idea of a perfect way for me to experience my own life in this lifetime. Um, and that perfect way does not have to be understood by or validated by anyone else. And that is an idea that was revolutionary for me, coming from a background where there were like, this is black and white, this is what good and bad is, this is how you should show up in these different areas of life.
Mhm.
And the Akashic Records taught me that there's such a loving way to accept who you are, and when you start living in that and really building your confidence in following that way of being exactly who you are, like life just really opens up and you can really be powerful in this lifetime.
Yes, yes, I second all of those things. And you mentioned in the beginning kind of the, I'm going to call it your purpose, your current purpose, right? Or your current path. So current push, right?
Yeah.
To the greater humanity is helping people show up and be the biggest version of themselves, right? Finding that authenticity within themselves. And I hear you say, that kind of that clarity or that place for you came through your work in the Akashic Records. And I echo that, that sentiment in my own personal reality. I think that, if I had to say what the biggest thing for me is, it is um, that being okay with who I am. But I think for me, more than being okay with who I am, it allows me to accept other people how they are too, right? Because it's like once you understand yourself and that there is this uniqueness about you that's perfectly fine, then it becomes really difficult for you to cast judgment or dispersion on other people because you recognize that they have their own walk and their own path, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and the best thing that I can do is figure out what our whoever me and that person is,
Mhm.
what our connection is together, right? What is my role? Why have you shown up in my life in this way? So
Right,
I,
right.
I, yeah, so thank you for that. Um, I don't want these to be long, so I am going to, I also want to just check in with you. Oh, so how are you using the records now in your work?
Right. I am using the records now as so I have to kind of take a step back before answering that question to kind of share where I am as a facilitator. I had to get really clear about what my framework is and really building out a framework. And I got some support to do that. And I was able to understand that where I have really received the most um, experience in life and growth in life is this idea of transition. A lot of areas in my life I've had to transition. I've had to make a transition from one thing to another, from one state to another, from one, relationship to another, from one career to another.
Mhm.
And I have supported other people in their transitions. And so I've understood now that, oh, this is an area where am, you know, p- practiced or I've created some sense of mastery in this transition space. It's also an area I've really been interested in as far as spirituality is concerned, kind of just like this idea of transitioning birth to death, life and life to death. There's a whole way to transition well. And I've understood that, we don't get that spotlight on how am I going to understand how to get from that point to this point, and what is the support needed, what are the things that I need to really transition well. And so that's how I'm using the records now, is to really help to highlight, where am I now? Where am I in the process of this transition? And how do I understand what that former state was and take all the lessons with me in order to get to where I see myself going in that transition?
And so with clients, how do you use the records, or are you using the records with clients? I guess I should start with that question.
I am using the records with clients, and um, it's still that format of, if you have a question that you want to bring to the records, or a situation that you want some insight into. But what I'm doing now is just explaining kind of my framework and how I see things, and really calling to those people who are in a place of big life transition. Because I also notice too, a lot of the people that I'm working with, or a lot of clients that are coming to me, are talking about transitions that they want to make. And they're in a period where, I'm doing this job, but I'm really wanting to do this thing. I'm wanting to transition out of this country and trying to figure out what that is. I'm questioning a relationship and wondering if it's time to make that transition, and so I really just have to honor the fact that that's the energy, that's coming to me. And those are the people who are drawn to my work. And I want to get, better at really helping them zone in on what that transition is like for them and what's going to help them transition well.
Cool, thank you for that. And then before we go, I do just want to, sorry, excuse me, touch on, you mentioned also that you do ancestral lineage healing. So that was another kind of apprenticeship program that I had. And, I think one of the beautiful things is that things aren't separate, right? And one thing kind of leads to the other thing. And in the end, you look back and you're able to say, oh, wow, I see how this supports this and this supports this. And I know that in business, particularly when we're following kind of the larger model of what the business should look like, right? They're like, pick a thing. You do this
Mhm.
one thing and you can't do these other things. And for years, everybody's like, no, what's that one thing you want people to know you for? I'm like, but no, I do both of these things, right?
Right.
And this and that, and they go together. And so I just wanted you to talk a little bit about how did you, one, what led you to wanting to study and really dive deep into that ancestral lineage healing work? And then do you notice any overlaps? Do you feel like they support each other? Just any thoughts around that?
Yes. Again, in in my spiritual journey, and as I was trying everything, I was intuitively drawn to work with the ancestors, and um, I immediately felt the support that came with connecting with my ancestors and um, giving focus to that area of my life. It really deepened my connection to myself by reaching back and understanding the stories of my ancestors from that spiritual level and allowing their healing to be a focus and intention for how my family shows up or how I show up, I really was not expecting to have such a big connection. But, kind of my story of life is I was very much estranged from my father's side of the family. And so I've been for years doing anything I can to try to reconnect with that side of the family. And it was only through when I started doing ancestral healing work that, literally miraculous connections coming out of nowhere. I put up a little ancestry.com account and I get, reach outs from people that are actually related to my father. So, I'm very blessed to now have a relationship with my ancestors and understand ancestral healing and how and feel and really experience how much that can support your life. And especially in my framework of transition, being able to connect to those unseen resources is a very important part of my framework. Um, both your spiritual guides and your ancestors. And it's going to enhance and strengthen your ability to make that transition into your big, better self.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. And I just want to say before we go, so I am a fan of, giving people their flowers when they are here. And I think so often, excuse me, I think so often, um, in these roles of teacher student, right? The teacher can approach the work as in a particular space. And I believe that I believe that we all learn from each other, right? And because I set the intention, right, and everything that I do, that I attract and I draw those people to me that are for me, right? That we've either had past relationships or past things with, which is why, one, I feel like people kind of know instantly, like, yes, I like you, we can rock together. And so I just want to say that I have appreciated, one, your support from the beginning of all of the stuff and how you show up and how you not only take information, because it's one thing to learn from someone and take what they've taught you and then want to just have it like that, right? And it's another way to actually be able to take what you're taught and integrate it into your own personal reality and expand that and continue to grow on those concepts. My godfather once told me, if I give you information today and you bring it back to me in 10 years the same way I gave it to you today, you failed with the information, right? His thing is that you're supposed to continue to learn and grow and make it better than what it was when I gave it to you. And so I appreciate you forever being the student, right? I appreciate the way that you've settled into where you are in this particular chapter of your life, and we know that that will continue to shift and change, but I have enjoyed watching you, working with you, and love supporting you. So let people know where they can find you if they are interested in any of your services. So just give them where they can find you and kind of what services you offer in the snippet for them.
Absolutely. I can be found at bigbetterme.com. I'm also on Instagram, big_better_me. And I have a TikTok account, Big Better Me, and on Facebook at Big Better Me.
Cool. All right. So thank you so much, Co, for joining us today. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Please like or share wherever you're watching this at, right? Like, subscribe, or share, and join us for the next Soul Wisdom Chat. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.